Welcome back to the Making a Multi-Million-Dollar Medspa podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to run a successful business. Thank you for joining us as we share our day-to-day successes and, even more importantly, failures and mistakes. Listen in as we host some of our peers, colleagues, and other experts in the field. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. In today's episode, we're talking with Ardeth Arman, our star of sclerotherapy. Ardeth began her career caring for infants and their families in the NICU. In the following year, she transitioned to the art of sclerotherapy, which ultimately brought her to AesthetiCare. She's been an awesome part of our team for over 10 years. She's a national trainer for sclerotherapy and offers a full range of services at AesthetiCare, including injectables and lasers. She's a registered nurse and holds the Certified Aesthetic Nurse Specialist credentials. On a personal note, Ardeth is one of the most caring, intelligent women you'll ever meet. I'm so excited for you to meet her. We'll let Ardeth tell you the rest. Welcome back to the Making of a Multi-Million-Dollar Medspa podcast, and I have Ardeth here with me today. And Ardeth has been with AesthetiCare since
2012.
So if I could do math, it's just like a long time, which is so great.
Yeah.
I mean, truly,
September of 2012.
Such an impact, like you've made. I know on my life as well as AesthetiCare. But so I'm really excited to bring you on today because there's so many amazing things about you that I want people to hear about, and then also just you specialize in certain procedures that I think are really kind of rare. I mean, I work with a number of different clinics across the country, and I'm not sure I could name one other provider that does sclerotherapy like you. And so I want to kind of dig into that a little bit.
Sure.
Well, actually, why don't we start? How did you get started in this industry? Maybe a little background first.
Okay.
How'd you find your way to AesthetiCare?
Well, honey, it's the best story in the world for me. Because it was just like this perfect little gift that was handed to me. So I started in the NICU, and I was recruited out of the NICU for a vein clinic because they liked NICU nurses. So I did that for about 5 years. And a series of events happened, and I was unhappy at my current place. And I contacted the first vein clinic that I went. And I was like, his name was Dr. Gray. And I was like, Dr. Gray, what can I do? I'm so sad where I am. And he's like, well, there's a guy named Matt Toronto that has always been wanting to do sclero. And I was like, huh? Who's Matt Toronto? That was before we were like world famous. And Dr. Gray goes, no, you should really go talk to him. And I was like, okay. I knew nothing about med spas, honey. Should I fully disclose what position I was in at the time?
Yes.
Oh, I was washing my face with shampoo in the shower. You're like not that far.
Well, no, do. This is good. Yeah.
I was like curly hair and glasses girl, still kind of am, but it just was not on my radar at all. I was very, very nursey. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of taken aback, like, oh, a med spa, like what in the world? Well, I came and interviewed, and Matt at the time was like, oh my gosh, we've always wanted to offer that. And I had already had extensive background in it. I worked for 2 vascular surgeons. I'd seen everything. I was very autonomous already. So I think it just was the perfect timing and the perfect fit because no one had to train me. No one had to sit with me because I'd already had so much experience. So when Matt hired me, it was so funny too. This is a cute little part. So when he hired me, I went back and I had my little card, and I thought it should say sclerotherapist on it. And he looked at me and he goes, don't you want to do everything here? And I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't even know that I could or that he wanted me to or anything. I was just like, oh my gosh, yes. So we just put RN, BSN, and stuff.
So, but going back to the that you would wash your face in the shower with shampoo.
Yeah, honey.
And that you probably then had some ideas about filler and Botox or lasers at the time that maybe, I don't know, what did you think about them back then? Did you know much about it? Did you care?
I knew nothing, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
At all. It was not ever in my focus. I never wanted like the spa day, type of thing. I just was not that girl at all. At all.
So how do you feel about it now? I mean, because now you do everything. You do lasers, you do injectables, you do skincare, you do, of course, the sclerotherapy. But how do you feel about it now?
I think it is so amazing and thrilling and exciting. And I've been here a decade, which is telling, because I was always kind of that girl that was like, yeah, this job is fun, but I wanted to go do other things. I wanted, I would get antsy after like 2 or 3 years. I'd be like, been there, done that. Not that I was at the top of my field or anything, but I was like, I'm okay. I want to go do something else. And I have never, ever, ever, and sometimes I surprise myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years and I literally just am here and I don't want to go anywhere ever.
Well, I look at it though, and so today we had a virtual Mirror Dry event, and you hosted it, and you went through the whole thing with over 80 people that had RSVP'd for it. And by the way, we got 20 people who signed up for it, and that's huge for Mirror Dry.
Yeah.
And so, you're so successful. Like, where was the switch from I don't want to be a part of things like that? I don't really know filler, or I don't cleanse my own skin to that.
Please don't fire me after today.
That was maybe a little hard, but one, where did the switch happen? And then two, someone that's always looking for growth. I mean, I think I see part of what kept you here, going to the Mirror Dry, like something else, like there's always something new, but just curious what you think is that piece that's kept you like engaged and not being satisfied, not wanting to leave and go somewhere else.
I think the difference is never in my life had I even been exposed to anything. I was very spoiled. I'd never washed my face because I didn't have problematic skin, and I was very spoiled with that. So I think I certainly would have sought out a lot of other things if I had that. But I think once I kind of came in this world, and I distinctly remember a little dinner I had with my sister. I had been here probably, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And I looked at her and I was like, I don't think my brain can learn anymore. And that was just about product. I hadn't even learned how to do any treatments yet. I literally was like, you have to do this before this, and this after this, and this 2 weeks after this, and this 3 days before that. And I was just like, I don't know. But now it's like so fun and exciting, and it's challenging constantly because of the industry. There's a new treatment all the time, and I absolutely love that.
I can't get the smile off my face because you're like one of the smartest people I know, by the way. And so by the fact that you're like, oh, the skincare felt a little overwhelming. Ardeth is the type of person who we say, we'll talk about like, okay, you know, a little kind of, I'll call it a homework assignment, but like, let's do some research together and put together a protocol for this or do research on this. And yours is over the top amazing every single time. So thorough, so well written, so well done. And so it's just funny to me to hear you say like, but it was just the skincare part.
I know. The thing about it though
is we have 500 products. Not so much anymore, but yeah.
But I mean, if you were kind of inundated with it, your whole, acclimated to it.
Right.
And then you come in and you're like, okay, so you need this, but who needs this, and why do you need it, and when do you apply it? And I had just taken care of a baby that weighed 16 ounces, and that was fine for me, but vitamin C threw me over the edge.
But I think this is so good.
There's no explanation for this.
Now look at you.
I was like,
now look at it.
I literally was like, Give me the baby. I want the baby back. But no, it was definitely a learning curve for me, because also I think in general nurses, you would think we would learn a lot about skin, but we don't in school. Mm-hmm. We really don't. We should, but we don't. And I was like perplexed at, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? And like I said, I was using Jergens. No, I wasn't, I promise.
She said Jergens, by the way.
I wasn't, but I love that because my mom would be like, and have like a thing this big. I mean, that was my skincare that I ever saw growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and
so
like I said, I didn't seek things out because I was very fortunate and I didn't have issues.
Mm-hmm. And so keeping you engaged and feeling like you're growing and there's no need for seeking out a new position or something different, do you think it is because of all the technology and the growth in the industry, or what are some of those things that you think have helped you to still feel so happy in what you're doing?
Well, I think more so than the industry, it's specifically AesthetiCare. The culture here, the people. I know that med spas can have a lot of turnover. I've seen and heard that. There is none here, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that. It does feel very supportive. Like, I don't know if you realize this, but when I call you into a room and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do or whatever, there is just like this so much like just calm joy and support in the way that you answer me. It is never condescending. It is never like, oh my god.
Well, Ardeth, you're smarter than me.
No, honey. Whoever's listening to that, please do not believe that. But I mean, it's just like, there's not a thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble because I whatever happened. It's like, that's part of it. Why? I mean, I would never go anywhere else, just that support and calmness. And then it's super fun to learn stuff too. And then I get all my little clients and I get them in my room and I shut the door and I get them for like an hour and they're mine and I love it.
I think you do such a great job with that. I mean, it's just anytime I get to talk to one of your clients, and I know it personally because I have experienced it with you, I love you so much. And so I see that personally, but it's really great to hear it from our clients that, it's maybe 20 minutes with you or an hour with you. And sometimes with sclerotherapy, probably longer for multiple visits over multiple months and years. But, it's just this instant adoration, like this instant, like trust in you. And I think, I'm just curious, how does that start? Like, what do you feel like really makes that happen?
So some of it, I'm very intentionally doing it, and some of it, I can't help but do it. So I feel very drawn to people. I feel like that's news to me. No, I do though. I see someone and my heart just goes out to them no matter what or when or where. It just kind of does. So, but one thing that I've always done, and it started in my career, in the NICU, but I want my client to feel, so when you walk into AesthetiCare, it feels happy and joyful, and I hear that a lot from my clients, like, oh my gosh, I just love, the front desk is fun and sweet and this and that, and I love that. When they come in my room, I want them to kind of feel like they're coming home, and like, you don't have to tell your best friend what your favorite drink is, you don't have to tell your mom this and that. I want my client to never have to tell me. If she wants an ice pack after her Botox, I already have it there because I know. Mm-hmm. If she has an owie hip, I don't turn her on that side. If she wants to lay all the way back or sit up, or if she needs a squeezy ball, or if she hurt her ankle the other day, I'm going to lower the bed. It's like she doesn't have to tell me anything. I already have it ready for her.
How do you hold all that? Where do you keep all that information?
I actually have a super big head.
I know you're very smart, but I'm just curious. Just
if
I you see a lot of clients.
I do. I feel like I see thousands of people. I don't know if I actually do, but it feels that way.
Yes.
So if I think I really need to remember something, I'll jot it down in the notes in the computer, and that helps. Sometimes I'll just say one word in there, like red. And then when I see it, I'm like, oh yeah. And this whole huge floodgate opens of what that means for that client or whatever. Obviously, people that I see all the time, I just know.
Sure.
But it's that continuity of care. It's like, oh, honey, remember last time when you said this? I remember that we talked about adding another unit. Let's do that today. And so I hope that if my clients were listening to this, they would be like, yeah, I do always feel like she knows exactly what I need and exactly what we did last time and exactly where we're going and exactly what's happening, because that's certainly my goal. I mean, I just want them to kind of feel like unbelievably taken care of. And I don't mind really pampering people.
You're really good at it. I mean, even down to like your Christmas gifts and the little details that you put on wrappings, and honestly, like any day that I'm in early, you're here. Like I'll walk by your room and like she's already here. Like, I mean,
kind of get here way too early.
You're so prepared, which makes your day.
What I really like to do, and I know not everyone can do this, but I like to get here so early because I like to go through every single one of my clients. What do they need? What are we doing? What do I need to have prepared? What did we do last time? I just review it. I'm not a good, like, spur of the moment type of person, like, oh, here's this. I mean, I can do it, but I would prefer to just really kind of study the day and get totally ready for it. And certainly if I have something I haven't done in a while, I'm going to research it the night before. I'm going to review the settings. I mean, I just don't like to get caught off guard.
I like to be prepared too. That's why I'm always like, oh, there's Ardeth.
I know. And there have been some times, like, in my bio, it says that I'm a NICU nurse, or used to be one. And a lot of my clients kind of bring that up. And I always say, honey, your face is my NICU baby. Aww. Your leg is my NICU baby. And I really do feel that way. Like, I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
Like, there will be no question. You may not want me to, but I'm going to.
Well, I think, too, you're so sweet with your words. You say, oh, honey, and we all kind of, we all know when we hear, oh, honey, that it's Ardeth. And so I think with that, though, the unique thing about you with the way that you speak and how loving and endearing you are, you're actually, like some people that do that, maybe it's a little bit of a front, but with you, you're actually even more so than that. You know what I mean? Because you are drawn to people. You do care so much. And so it's just such it just fits you. It just is so natural to you because of the fact that it's actually, your heart is much bigger than what your words are.
I think part of maybe why, well, I don't know why, but another thing is I'm also, and this probably isn't always the best, but I'm so much of an open book myself. It's like, if you've known me for 10 minutes, you probably will feel like you've known me your whole life. And I don't mind telling clients, I mean, like, can you edit this?
Probably not going to be doing editing. Just go ahead and share. Yeah.
Well, one time this little gal came in for sclero, and she was so embarrassed because her legs were hairy. And I'm like, honey, and I just stuck my leg up there, and I'm like, do they look this bad? And she goes, no. And I'm like, well, then get on the table and let's go.
Do I need to do a hair removal on your legs?
Honey, that was before.
Oh, no. Okay, now you're good. Nice.
But just like, it's like, and people apologize, like, oh, look at my toes. I'm like, girl, You should see mine. You get to get, you know, it's like, just, I want them to feel like it's safe, it's home, it's where they belong. And I have clients, you know, that have commented, you know, they come in once a year and get one syringe of filler. And they're like, I feel like your top paying client. And I'm like, you are. Your face is my top paying client.
It's my NICU baby.
Your cheek is my NICU baby. Now, lay down.
Yeah. You need another syringe this year. No, I'm kidding.
I know. I know, but it doesn't, it doesn't matter to me. And this is not a business thing, but I don't have to be the business person, but it doesn't matter to me what my client spends. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. I don't think about it. It's complete. I just want them to feel amazing. And if, you know.
I love that about you. So so coming in as the sclerotherapy expert, the first person to, the first RN to offer sclerotherapy for AesthetiCare, I have some questions about that because I've talked to you about it over the years, as Ment Aesthetics and being a training facility, and just what went into your training. Because I think, when we look at injectables, there's a number of ways to go with that in terms of training and lasers, and there's so many resources with that. But maybe just kind of share what your journey was, getting to the point to feel comfortable to do sclerotherapy.
And I think that's a great subject that you're bringing up, because so much of what we do is very, very highly technical, and it is overwhelming in the beginning. But you can get a kind of a basic understanding, fairly quickly. Like, I feel like after a day of Botox, you really can grab your friend and do it. Mm-hmm. My sclero experience was the company that hired me flew me back and forth to Chicago for a little over 4 weeks. And I watched their busiest. They had several franchises in the country, and I watched. It was one of the busiest things. The first 2 weeks, all I did was watch and take notes. Mm-hmm. I didn't even touch a client.
And so, were you there like Monday through Friday?
Yep.
Okay.
They flew me up, put me in a hotel, Monday through Friday. Then I'd fly home on the weekends and go back, fly home, go back. And remember, I had just come from the NICU. So in my mind, I'm like, give me that leg. Mm-hmm. This cannot be that. Mm-hmm. But I soon learned that it was. But anyway, so then it was around the 3rd week, and I'll never forget this because I felt like I was going to fail it. The nurse that I had been working with handed me like a bunch of charts for like the next day. And she's like, just tell me what you would do. Mm. And I'm like, no. Don't want to. Don't want to tell you that. And I was looking at the chart and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so la 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 la. And I kind of, okay, I would start here and I would do this. And it was just, that was after watching her for over 2 weeks, every day, 8 hours a day. So then that just gradually turned into, okay, now you try it type of thing. And when it was all said and done, I went back and forth. And then for another 2 weeks, they had a traveler whose only job was to hang out with the newbies for 2 weeks in that location. And they just looked over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. So any questions or anything, I could be like, oh my gosh. Literally, you're looking at someone's leg and you're kind of going, And then after that, well, and the other advantage, too, is, so even after they left, I was in an environment where I had a physician who the whole entire thing was veins. Mm-hmm. So if I ever ran into a hiccup or anything, I could go down the hall and ask him. Mm-hmm. So by the time I came to AesthetiCare, I was very autonomous. I'd had all of that, and I'd also worked for 2 vascular surgeons for like 5 years. So...
yeah, it's like the perfect background to do sclerotherapy. NICU, work with a vascular surgeon, and we got you.
Yes. I think it's one of those things like, and I feel very blessed that I had that experience and that I was able to do that, and I feel very fortunate. but I, the few groups that I trained with Mint, I mean, they were amazing and they're so skilled and lovely and great. It was like 10,000 times more difficult than they anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think, that's why when we've spoken about it, it's, it's important to hear like the shadowing for weeks and weeks, and then someone that came and camped out with you for 2 weeks. But it's such a testament to education and how important it is, because whether it's lasers or Botox and filler, and I get so much easier with certain things. I mean, I look at Moxie and I feel like we all trained on it in an afternoon and we were like good to go,
But Penny, remember though, everyone's background to that point.
Well, true. That's so true. That's absolutely true.
And you know how you feel, how I feel about sclero. I feel that way about you about lasers. I just literally think you're a genius with lasers. I'm like,
you're so sweet.
What in the heck? What in the haymaker do I do now? Oh, Kathy!
I love when I get to help you.
I mean, I just think that you are just like this walking wealth of knowledge about it. And I will never achieve that,
Oh, Ardeth, you just, I love that I get to sit here and praise you all day long. But seriously,
no, but I won't, because I'm not inundated with it like you are.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I definitely have spent more time doing it. But I think, it's just a good little takeaway is that if you want to get great at something, you have to inundate yourself with it. You can't pick it up for a day and not do it for another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks and be like, oh, I'm going to try it again. Like, it's if you want it, you pick it up, you find the best people, and you do as much training as you can, and then do it again and do it again and do it again. And if you'll do it that way, no matter what it is, it will be, you'll be so much better than a year from now, or some clients that come here to train and they haven't had training for 6 years. I'm just thinking, how have you even gotten through? Yeah. So,
well, and you kind of hit on a good point too. Another thing that I feel very blessed about is when I very first learned sclero, I did it 40 hours a week for 3 years without stopping. So when you are opening a spa, a med spa, and you have to learn Botox, filler, lasers, sclero, Miradrag, and the list goes on. Vitamin C. It's like I had the advantage of literally doing nothing else 40 hours a week. And that is so difficult to replicate when you may get a sclero trickle in once a month, and then you've got 75 trillion other things that you're, trying to learn
and bring on. Yeah. So is there anything that's coming out or that's been out, anything in the industry that you feel like we should look into, or anything that excites you? Anything like that? I mean, nothing.
Well, sclero is very exciting to me. 17 years later.
That's always, that's a big...
I know.
Amazing.
I literally get happy every time I see a sclero client. But I'm excited about SoftWave. I really am. I'm excited about Sculptra in the body. And it's not necessarily new, but it's kind of like something new and different to me personally. And I think AesthetiCare are bringing that on. I'm excited about Genius. I think that's awesome. I think just you guys do such a great job at putting stuff in front of us, because I wouldn't go seek stuff out necessarily. I feel like I'm so busy. I mean, I'm always excited to learn something new, but I'm not going to be like, hey, I read about this. I mean, I'm reading 8th grade homework at night.
Well, yeah. And when we do, without making it overwhelming, we do feel like it's so important to stay top of class and have the best. And, I think we can work on timing things a little bit better, but I think, just giving you the tools so that when we do have clients come in that have heard about this, or we want to do something new, that we have access to it. Is always a goal of ours, because I personally feel like, I love the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And so just the growth, to me, it's important.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I also love about AesthetiCare, because I don't feel like I have to take that job. It's not a burden, but it's burdensome sometimes, because there's so many trillions of things out there, and I'll get 75 emails a week about some new thing. And it's just peaceful and restful for me to know that you guys are going to kind of vet that out for us. And then once you decide on something, then of course I have to learn it and get skilled at it. But that's so much easier than even trying to decide what to bring on or introduce or whatever. I mean, I just love that part that you guys are like, hey, we heard about this, we're going to try this or whatever. And I'm like, sure, let's do it. But I don't have to do it.
Do all that.
Yeah.
Are there any parts that the owners do that you don't like? Anything
There's this one owner named
give
Kathy.
The owner any advice, any feedback on what not to do?
I mean, honestly, well, here's what I will say to that. Nobody ever leaves here. And that's not just a little thing. That's way bigger than people realize. Because I've worked in a place where the owner, whoever it was, literally could not keep staff. And when I say that, I'm not joking. 9 and 10 medical assistants in a month could not keep staff. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots of reasons for that. But yeah, I mean, there's always little things that are kind of like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But the huge overall environment here is so amazing. And you guys really do an amazing job at, it's just this perfect little balance of kind of like pushing us to be better, but loving us when we're not.
Well, I think, our goal is always to do and to be there for you guys, to take care of our team. And I always say, I mean, even though we're trying, we're not always going to get it right. I mean, different personalities and different situations, and so it's like without the feedback, sometimes we can't get it right. And so, not to like put you on the spot in a podcast, but I always want to know. I want to know, because it's the number one most important thing. So
well, but the thing is, like a million years ago, when I was in counseling, you probably didn't even know that I was a counselor once. What I found is that the people who need counseling are the ones who don't come, and the people who come to counseling are the ones that are doing fine. So the fact that you're always asking and really wanting to know, and it's a huge concern of yours, means you're doing a really good job, because that in and of itself already means that you're so aware and on top of it. And yeah, there's always something, there's always some little but honey, overall, it's like you take such good care of us, and we know if there's an issue, we can come to you. It's a safe place. I literally don't think I've come to you or Matt once in 10 years. Like with an issue.
Oh, yeah.
With an issue.
Right.
Because I don't know. I don't feel like I need to or have needed to. But the thing is, the more important thing is, if something does come up, I know that I can.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, yes, there's, it's work. It's called work because you're working and it's work, but you get an A+.
Oh, well, thank you. But, I'm looking for the ones that I'm not getting an A+ on. So if you ever feel like sharing those.
I'll tell you later.
All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Right. Yeah. That's fine. Hey, I'm happy to share. That's how we all get better. So, Thank you, Ardeth. Thank you for coming on and doing this with me today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. You're just amazing. I hope you know that.
Likewise.
Yeah. All right, so that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to today's episode. We would love it if you left a review to help other providers and clinics find us. Also, if you want more information about anything we discussed in this episode, check out our show notes. Until next time, this has been the Making a Multi-Million Dollar Med Spa podcast.